tu tare tu re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha.
Hello, everyone. This is the Lama Live livestream event. A warm welcome to all of you joining us from around the world. And to those tuning in later, your presence is equally cherished. I'm Dreame, and it's an absolute joy to connect with you all from Poland for today's special gathering. At Tara Mandala, we are committed to being a welcoming, open, and safe community for practitioners and students of all cultures, races, religions, genders, sexual orientations, age, ability, and circumstances. Today, we come together to celebrate Cynthia Jurs, as this week marks the release of her remarkable book, Summoned by the Earth, Becoming a Holy Vessel for Healing Our World. Cynthia Jurs is a Dharmacharya in the Order of Interbeing of Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. In 2018, she was made an honorary Lama in recognition of her dedication in carrying this practice all around the planet. Inspired by 30 years of pilgrimage into diverse communities and ecosystems with the holy vessels, today Cynthia is forging a new path of Dharma in service to Gaia, deeply rooted in the feminine, honoring indigenous traditions, and teaching an embodied, engaged, sacred activism dedicated to global healing and collective awakening. She lives at the base of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in northern New Mexico, where she often walks in the wilderness with her dog or gardens with her husband. Today, Cynthia will be gracing us with her presence, interviewed by the beloved Tara Mandala Senior Teacher, Lopön Karla Jackson-Brewer. We're so honored and excited to explore Cynthia's profound work together. So please do join me in giving a heartfelt welcome to these two remarkable women and get ready to be embraced by their meaningful presence. Thank you all for being here.
Good morning. I'm in morning. Hello, everyone. Greetings. I'm Lopön Karla and Lama Cynthia, although I'm just going to refer to you as Cynthia because I know your comfort level. Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Let's begin by raising bodhicitta. And so let's all just drop into our breath, riding the inhale and the exhale. And as we inhale and exhale, as many may know any practice, when you get to the bottom of the exhale, notice the pause. And then ride into the inhale. At the top of the inhale, notice a brief pause. And let's just do this for a couple of breaths, noticing that pause. And as we drop into that pause, allow yourself to feel spaciousness. At the bottom of the exhale and all the way up at the top of the inhale. And as you feel that spaciousness, really feel yourself sitting in your seat, your feet grounded on the floor, your spine reaching up to the sky. Take a moment and connect to the earth that supports you, the earth that's below your floor. That might be a couple of stories above the earth. Still, you can feel the connection of that energy. Feel the earth's energy supporting you, holding you, creating space for you. As I feel the earth, I want to take this moment to acknowledge that the land upon which I reside is the sacred land of the Lenape people, who dedicated their lives to keeping this land and still hold the sacred connection with the earth here on Manhattan Nung. Please feel free to connect and honor the indigenous people where you are. I invite us all to call in our ancestors, all of those who went before us and all of the lineages. They made it possible for us to be here in this moment doing our work. Feel free as I acknowledge and honor all of the wisdom beings, source, all of the wisdom beings from all of the traditions around the world. May they be present in this Lama life. May they continue to support us again in this life walk. Honoring and calling in the local protectors, the local palas, those who protect our neighborhoods, our lands, our backyards, our homes, our regions. We honor you. And honoring also the Dharma protectors, those who have committed themselves to protecting practitioners and the practices. May we always be guided and protected in our work. And opening up our hearts, our heart chakra, really feeling the interconnectedness in this space and outside of this space. Raising a heartfelt motivation that our conversation today will be of benefit to ourselves, to all beings, everywhere. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, great. So, Cynthia, it is so good to see you. I think we can start a little bit by your sharing your connection maybe to Lama Tsultrim and to Tara Mandala.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here, and thank you, Dreame, for that beautiful introduction. And Carla, it's wonderful to see you. We met, I think it was in 1988, when I organized one of the very first, maybe it was the second retreat of the Simamukha practice with the mandala, the five Buddha families, with Lama Tsultrim in Crestone, Colorado. And that was such a seminal experience for all of us, I think. But I had only just met Lama Tsultrim a few years, or even just a year earlier. So we go way back. And I, after that retreat in Crestone, I traveled to Tibet to circumambulate Mount Kailash with Lama Tsultrim and Namkhai Norbu Rinpoche. And
a huge group of people from all around the world, which was another very seminal experience that we shared. And so we have been on the path. I have been on the path with Lama Tsultrim for all this time. And I helped her lead those beautiful retreats on the 5 Buddha families, which were so important, and studied deeply with Lama Tsultrim and also with Namkhai Norbu Rinpoche. And that was where I met my dear friend Jim Casilio, who then invited me to join him on a pilgrimage to meet Charok Rinpoche, where this practice that I hope we'll talk about of the Earth Treasure Vases began.
Great, thank you. Yes, it's so great to remind me of that second Dakini retreat. So much happened after that, hearing what happened for you and a bit of what happened for me. I want to get into the beginning of your journey, but before we do that, can you just talk about what a treasure vase is? I mean, I'm sure there are people who know, but there may be people who don't know, and just a brief sharing of that.
Well, yeah, when I went on this pilgrimage to meet Charok Rinpoche, who was this very old Lama living in a cave in a remote corner of Nepal, which I guess I'll wait and tell that story in a minute. But I received a practice of the Earth Treasure Vases, and so this is a practice that originated with Padmasambhava Guru Rinpoche back in the 8th century. But he had foreseen that there would be times in the future where there would be great upheaval and the disintegration of the web of life, the kinds of things that we're seeing now with climate change and war and pandemics and all of the things that we're living with. So he gave a practice of bringing healing and protection to the earth, that is to fill these little clay pots with prayers and offerings that are symbolic of healing and protection, and then to plant them like a seed in the region where they are to go to bring healing and protection. And so, that was the practice that I received and have been carrying out all this time.
Great. And why not just go right into just sharing a bit about your beginning journey? What motivated you to take these first steps?
Well, I was pretty concerned about things like radioactive waste that is coming off the production of nuclear weapons here in where I live in Santa Fe at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, and of course all around the world. That was a big wake-up call when I began to realize what those substances do and how they affect the web of life. And I also had been hearing this message coming out of the elder brothers and sisters from Colombia, the Kogi people, who were giving a warning to all of us about the unraveling of the web of life that they were already seeing. And I think we were beginning to wake up back then to the fact that human beings are damaging the earth, destroying so much of what we need to survive. So I was walking up the path to meet this proverbial old wise man in the cave, and I realized, oh my God, I have to ask him a question. What should I ask him that would be of benefit to all of us, And what came to me was to ask, what can we do to bring healing and protection to the earth? And so that was the question. And as I say, I received from him this practice of working with the Earth Treasure Vases, which I've now been carrying around the planet for over 30 years, since that was in 1990. And it's taken me into all kinds of cultures and communities and situations all around the planet, which has been such an amazing journey, and which I have written about in my book, Summoned by the Earth.
Yes. The book Summoned by the Earth is such a beautifully written piece. It really engages you. It shares, it shares so much for all of us. And I'm just going to take a little moment because I neglected to do this in the beginning. If people have questions that arise,
Yeah.
feel free to put them in the comments, and we're going to get to the questions. We're going to allot special time for that. But I wanted people to feel like they could think about them, and then we can have them in a timely way. So many places, so many experiences, but I was really struck by the chapter, The Sound of the Bell in Africa, particularly the bell, right? So in Vajrayana, the bell is wisdom. And you talked about the sounding of the bell in the practice there and how transformative and meaningful it was. So would you share just a little bit of the highlight of the kind of transformation that happened?
Yeah, it was so amazing because I knew I had to at some point go to Africa, and I, wasn't sure how the practice would be received there, and I always try to go without any idea about anything. I don't know how it will be accepted, and so I go very open, very just as an offering, and then see what happens. And so I was invited to go to Liberia, which has been a very conflicted part of Africa, terrible civil war that went on for years and years, which the women ended. It's a fascinating story if you don't know it. But there's still conflict in Liberia. And anyway, I went into the worst fought area of the war and was invited to bring the treasure vase there. And when I arrived, I met people who had from 3 countries, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, all of whom shared a border that was where the worst fighting happened. And I met former rebel commanders and child soldiers, and also, of course, these women who stopped the war, who were the peace builders. And it was amazing. We gathered around the treasure vase. The ancestors were invited to give their blessing, which they did, luckily. And then many hundreds of people came together around this to pray for peace. And when I rang the bell, which is also done in the tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, as some of you may know, the bell is considered a bodhisattva who is helping us to awaken, because when we hear the sound, it brings us back to our true self, and to that wisdom nature that is our true self. So I rang the bell, and people said, it was so amazing. They said, when I heard the sound of the bell, I felt like I came back to my true self. They said, the bell brought me into a place of such peace and calm, and I'm so grateful for that sound of the bell. And then I heard from this one rebel general who had been known as General Leopard. His name is Christian Wolo Bethelsen, and I became very close to him, and I still am. I've been working with him for over a decade. And he heard the sound of the bell, and he asked me to teach him how to meditate. And here was a man who had spent his entire adult life as in the army and as a personal bodyguard of the president, and then in the rebel forces fighting against Charles Taylor. And he was a pretty challenging character, and I didn't believe that he could really be interested in learning how to meditate, but indeed he was, and he still has been practicing all this time and has really transformed his all of his reactive emotions and his PTSD and his trauma through the practice of mindfulness, and coming back over and over to the breath, to the present moment, to grounding himself in that deep wisdom and peace within, which is something he craved all his life and has taken many years to transform. But Now he really has gone from a general of war to a general of peace, and he is one of my great teachers in this lifetime. And all of that came out of taking the treasure vase to Liberia. We buried it in a village where there had been a prayer for a cultural center that was destroyed in the war. We ended up building a peace hut, which is a place where people can come together to cultivate and resolve conflict. And those peace huts, then we built 4 peace huts in different regions of Liberia, thanks to the little treasure vase doing its job. And the women and General Leopard, now Christian Wolo Bethelson, who is this peace builder, and his colleague Harper Carmen are teaching peace building through mindfulness in all over Liberia, and have planted many, many, many seeds of peace. So it's an incredible story. Yeah.
It definitely is an incredible story, and I do encourage people to read it. It's so moving. And one of the things that I appreciate in reading this and appreciate in you is your honoring of traditional indigenous leaders and elders and spaces, recognizing who you are in the world, how you might be seen in the world, and still going in and making this offering. And what's so wonderful in the book is how these practices mesh, how they integrate, right? The building of those peace huts and the treasure vases energy. It really is. It's so great to see that you're open enough and trusting enough to be able to, just be present. And I think that comes through the book in so many of the stories, just being present. And as you said, let's see what happens.
Well, yeah.
Like, oh.
It's such an adventure, and I never want to impose anything on anyone, so I have felt it has been very important to seek the blessing of the elders and the who are the original people of the cultures that we have gone to in places like Liberia, Congo, Australia. In Australia, I met an incredible Aboriginal elder named Auntie Margaret Catherine, who made me her daughter. I mean, she adopted me. She made all of us family in the kinship system of her people. And it really brought alive the whole global, what became and is still becoming a global healing mandala of locations all around the planet where these little earth treasure vases are planted. And anyway, it's been an incredible journey, Carla, and I'm so, I am so transformed. But in the process of doing this, we realized at a certain point that while we're carrying these little clay pots, these treasure vases, they are teaching us how to be holy vessels, filled with our own offerings, and the practice is really about waking up to what the earth is telling us in these times and finding our own gifts, our own offerings to make a difference. Yeah.
Yes. And you use, the phrase a holy vessel. If we begin to think of ourselves as holy vessels moving through space, and your book also talks about the power of prayer, of intentional thought, that people are pouring into these clay pots. The wishes, the hopes.
Yeah, like going into Liberia, Congo, Australia, Native America, all over, inner cities, or sources of rivers, wherever we go. We find ourselves pouring our hearts out because everywhere we go, people care. They love life, right? And really, the practice is about protecting life on Earth and healing what needs to be healed, and then regenerating, you know, finding ways to engage in a practice that puts us in touch with what we love and care about most, you know, and everybody, no matter what culture, what community, what spiritual tradition, they all, everyone wants to see our homelands healthy, you know, and our people healthy, and our animals healthy, and the trees and the waters and all of it. So, you know, I feel this is really the wake-up call of our times. And the treasure vases are such a powerful practice because they came alive in these times, in the way that we've been carrying them out. And so really, as I've carried, you know, I have a deep grounding in Vajrayana and in other lineages of Buddhism, which have informed everything about how I live my life and what I do. But nowadays, I feel as if, you know, in some ways, Gaia has become my guru. You know, that I am now oriented and have brought the Dharma teachings into this relationship to Mother Earth that is it is yeah, what can I say? You know, the teacher, the teachings, and the community are all found in this taking refuge in Gaia for me, and I think for many of us who are also seeking something we can do, we can rely on, we can protect and give our love to. Yeah.
Yes, good. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I was going to move into your, you know, development from Tara to Gaia, right? That connection, that relationship. And feel free to talk more about, you know, Gaia as the guru, Gaia as your guru, how that takes shape and form. And you might even add a little on how the treasure vases spoke to you. Like, how did you figure out where to put them? You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was one of the big things is when I first received them, I was so overwhelmed with the assignment. I had no idea what to do. I didn't, you know, where do we go? What do we do? How do I do this? The lamas weren't, frankly, very interested. I mean, the practice of the treasure vases is something that is carried out and has been for many generations, but it's sort of a side practice, you know. It's like something they just do, and it's part of the monastic activities and things. But when I took it up, you know, I think everybody was a little surprised, like, wow, she's making a really big deal about this. But really, this is what is called for now. This is the practice that is needed as far as I'm concerned. And if you know, if you're a practitioner, you know that if you take any one practice all the way, it takes you to the same place, right? It wakes you up. It is a liberating what shall I say, liberating, beautiful part of the way the Dharma unfolds, the fruit of the practice. Anyway, I was possessed by this and, you know, just had to listen to the earth and to the little clay vessels themselves, because every time I tried to figure out what to do and tried to take it where I thought it needed to go, things would happen that weren't so, you know, easy. But when I would get out of my own way, right, and open to something so much larger than myself, then the way would open and things would happen. And we can't possibly figure out with our heads how to go about affecting the change that is called for in the world today, because it's so vast. So we have to just open to something larger. And of course, every time we practice, that happens. You know, the veil is peeled away. We find ourselves in a state of awareness itself that is where that open awareness abides, where we see the way, we recognize the path, and then the world opens. And so with the intention or prayer of healing the earth and going to places where healing is called for, then those locations would begin to reveal themselves and we would be invited or we would know. And the Sangha built up around the practice. So it's not just me doing it anymore. It's the thousand arms of Avalokiteshvara all going into action, and responding to the cries of the world. So it was a very organic, and still is a very organic process, but it's a process that also invites that synchronicity, because once we start to kind of align ourselves with that calling, that summons, then again the synchronicities start to happen and things open up that we never could have possibly planned. But yeah, so for me, I had a very deep practice with Tara for a long time, and she helped me a lot. She comes when she's called, and I called on her a lot, and I took her with me everywhere I went. And then I would come home and I would go into retreat, and I would deepen my practice and look at the map of the world and spin the globe and go, okay, now where next? And at a certain point, I really had this yearning to have a sort of personal relationship to Gaia as a embodiment, in the way that we do visualize a deity like Tara, and recite a mantra. It's so useful, it's so helpful to have that connection, and I thought, well, it wasn't really even a thought, it was just this kind of yearning of wouldn't it be amazing if I could really feel that connection, which of course I already was feeling. And of course, Tara, you could say she is also an embodiment of that energy, that nature. But anyway, I was in retreat, and all of a sudden the practice of Tara that I was doing began to kind of transform. And it began by hearing a mantra that was a mantra of Gaia that came. And even as I share this with you now, I can feel the emotion of that moment. And then the visualization started to change a little bit to where I was imagining and seeing her in all of her countless forms appearing. Anyway, I worked with this sort of evolution of the practice of Tara, the 21 Taras, into a practice of Gaia that I held in my heart for a long time, because I didn't know that I really had the permission, to bring this new practice forward. And I felt concern about how it might be received in traditional circles by the lineage lamas. But I also came to feel as if the times were really calling for her, and that I had to take that step, to bring her forward. And so when I went to Nepal in 2018, that's when Lama Tsultrim Longpo gave me or sort of empowered me as what's the word? Where you enthroned.
Right, you were enthroned.
And I was just totally in shock because I did not go through the traditional route to become a Lama. I was just carrying out this practice. I was doing a lot of deep practice, and I mean, equivalent. I did several nundros. I did a lot of practice, but my heart was with Gaia, and so I was very shocked. And so I consider it an honorary title. I'm not a Lama in the traditional way, but I have had many experiences, as is written about in the book. Anyway, he made me a Lama, but I was quite conflicted about it because of this practice of Gaia that was really where my heart was, and also the treasure vases, the calling of the earth, and so there's a story in the book about how I was reckoning with all of this, and the rain had come, and I slipped on a rock going down the mountain, and I fell, and I tumbled head over heels over the side of the trail. And I left my body because I thought I was dying. I mean, this was like thousands of feet down to the bottom of the river, and there was nothing to stop me. And so that was it, But I did come to a stop on the side of the mountain, and I did not have any broken bones. I was banged up, but I was alive. And it took me some time to come to terms with the fact that, something had stopped me. But it wasn't Tara that appeared, and it wasn't Guru Rinpoche or, the Buddha or anybody that you might think. It was the earth who grabbed me like this. I can see, she had my back, and she said, "You're not over. It's not over yet. You have to keep going. You're mine." And she said, Gaia is your source of refuge. And so it was really after that I realized I had to share this practice. And also to stand up for the way in which we are being summoned by Gaia to recognize our inseparability from the web of life on Earth, and to respond to what I think is the call for a collective awakening. This individual practice and path has served us well, but it's reached, in my humble opinion, it's kind of reached its limit. There's only so much farther we can go, and we've kind of destroyed things in the process. So what are we going to do, to keep going and to feed the spirit of life on Earth that is so beautiful, right? So beautiful. Such an incredibly beautiful, precious human life as part of something, as we say, so much larger than ourselves. So what is it that's calling you? What is it that's calling and summoning you to serve all beings?
So beautiful. Absolutely. As you were talking, of course, when I read that part in the book of you falling, I was like, oh my God. But what I came away with was, really like a message to me to trust. Just trust the process.
Yeah.
To actually have faith. And they don't talk a lot in Buddhism about faith, but I've heard lamas say, no, faith in the practice, faith in the activity, right? And what you're talking about also is an embodied practice, right? The embodied sacred feminine and sacred masculine coming together, but really a little emphasis on the feminine and embody. Earlier this year, I got to share a talk about radical bodhicitta. And radical bodhicitta, we have the bodhicitta of aspiration and of action, right? So it's like, take a step. Take another step.
Yes.
Listen. Slow down. Take a step. It's such an important reminder, and particularly for me, but I would imagine for other people who get caught up in the busyness of life and the hurry, and I need to answer right away. And then slowing down enough to listen, whether it's the ancestors, Gaia, Tara, the earth, the rivers crying out, to really hear that. And I thank you for even just sharing your process in the book, so that people can see, like, oh, you met obstacles. You have some self-doubt. I mean, these things arise. And yet, if we listen, we can hear the wisdom beings who say, I got you. Go on. Go for a walk.
Mhm.
It's like, well, I don't know if I want to go. No, just go for a walk. And
Mhm.
then something unfolds.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a little bit in the book about miracles, which I'm not going to go into, but people to like pay attention to the
Right.
miracles that are happening.
Yeah, no,
And it,
trusting.
yes, yes. And I
Mhm.
like your call to us. What's calling us? What's motivating us?
Well,
And that the go ahead. Yes,
well, no,
please.
I mean, I love talking with you, Carla. This is so wonderful. Um, we talk about bodhicitta all the time, but, like, how are we really engaging that? How are we engaging with our wish to bring benefit to all beings? What form does that take? So engaging our practice in what is in our deepest heart of hearts. Andrew Harvey wrote a book about it's called The Hope, and it's about sacred activism. It's a really wonderful book, and he says, what is it that wakes you up at 3 a.m. That gets you up, that you love and care about. That's where to put your energy. That's where to engage your practice. And if you don't know what that is, yes, all you have to do is maybe go for a walk once in a while. Stop thinking about it. Stop, as Thich Nhat Hanh would say. Come back to your breath. Take another breath, as you invited us so beautifully in the beginning. Take another breath, because the thinking mind isn't really going to get us very far. It's useful in certain circumstances, but if we want to really engage the wisdom of our deeper calling, then we need to find access to that other part of ourselves, our Buddha nature,
Mhm.
our embodied nature of wisdom, which all of us have. And when we stop long enough to let all the thoughts settle and enter into the present moment, then we start to see things so much more clearly, and we know where to act and where not to act. We don't want to keep perpetuating that same old story. It's not getting us anywhere. So what is the new story? Um,
Yeah.
let's come together and uh, cultivate that. So trust,
Yeah.
faith. There's a difference between belief and faith, and I think that belief is asking us to somehow believe in something outside of ourselves. No, we are not talking about that. We're talking about a faith in that deep inner knowing that is also in you, and in you, and in you, and everybody, and in the trees, and in the way that the river flows, and the birds suddenly sing right at that special moment when you needed to hear that, or the owl calls you in the middle of the night, wake up.
Mhm. Yes, yes. Thank you. I feel like we could be in conversation for so much more time, but I'd like to open it up. Are there questions from people? So far, I haven't seen any come in, which means that folks have been listening really well, I hope. But, are there any questions? We want to open it up for questions, and then we're going to close with a couple of
Yeah.
Yep, I see. We don't really have any questions right now.
Well,
So what I'd like to do is I'd like to remind people to get a copy of this book and then also to be involved moving forward. What can we do? And the one thing that I loved is when you talked about Indra's net
mm,
and the lines of the earth. And I immediately thought of, all right, and the ley lines of the beings,
mhm.
right? And where we intersect and where we come together. Oh, I see a question. Thank you. There's a question here. How do you make an earth vase?
Oh, well, they are made from clay. Originally, the lamas in Nepal made them for us, and they were crafted by a potter. But they were the Lama Tsultrim Rinpoche gathered relics and medicines from all the lineage lamas. I mean, huge amount of incredible medicines, connecting to all the lineages, which was just incredible, and mixed that into the clay originally. So the vases were then empowered with all of that, which makes them very unique, But the interesting thing for us is that normally the treasure vases or vases would be filled with very specific offerings to bring healing and protection to the earth by the lamas, and then sealed behind sort of the closed door of the monasteries. In our case, because they had to travel across the world, they didn't want them to be opened. So they mixed these substances into the clay and gave them to us to fill and seal and bury ourselves, which was really an act of trust, actually. And it allowed us to make the vases come alive in these times for ourselves by making offerings that were meaningful to us, or taking them open to places like Congo and Australia, where people would offer something that was meaningful to them in that culture. So that's one way this sort of the alchemy of the offerings came to life in some new ways. But anyway, a few years ago, we made another set of treasure vases with a Native American potter and activist here in New Mexico, Marian Naranjo, who is from Santa Clara Pueblo. And she taught us how to make the treasure vases ourselves with the coiling of clay from this land, which we mixed some of the shards of the broken pots that had originally arrived into that clay, so that they were part of this unfolding practice. And so everyone who came to that retreat made a pot for a particular location that they had intended for it to go. So those are all still in process. And eventually we might do another one of those kinds of retreats, but right now we have probably 25 vessels being worked with by stewards, people who are stewarding them to different locations. I have about 5 left on my altar from the original set, 2 sets. One was the original bigger ones. The next generation was the second, a little bit smaller ones, all made at the same time in Nepal. And when we're done, we'll have close to 100. Maybe if we make more, we'll have 100 or 108 probably. But right now, I think we have 93, and about 55 or so are in the ground. And yeah, so there's so much to share about all of that. But we do a meditation, actually, maybe I'll mention this, every full moon, and have for 30 years. That is this global healing practice of the Earth Treasure Vases. And we meet now, of course, on Zoom, so people can join from all over the world. And it's a beautiful practice of cultivating community and cultivating our intentions, our collective intentions for awakening in relationship to Mother Earth, and to support the prayers that are going into each of these holy vessels going out. And so each month we focus on a different one. This coming month, which we'll be celebrating on Monday, the 25th, the full moon, we'll be working with a treasure vase that's going to Washington, D.C. And we'll be burying it there on Earth Day. So it's one that's been a long time coming, as you might imagine, and couldn't be more timely. So anyway, please join the full moon meditation. You can find information about that on the GaiaMandala.net website. Yeah. Go ahead, Carla.
Yes. I think many of the questions have been addressed in terms of how to get involved and, to really go to your website, and I think a great way to start is to participate in the full moon meditations and really see how the calling happens to you.
I'm
What I
seeing
want,
a comment, Carla, about was there one for Ukraine? We do not have one for Ukraine, but one of the people who is stewarding a treasure vase is a woman named Cynthia Lazaroff, who is an expert in Russian-American relations and has spoken to us. There's a a video recording of her presentation on one of the full moon calls about Ukraine and Russia, and she's stewarding a treasure vase to the Bering Strait, which is a place in between Russia and America, 3 miles apart, where in Arctic Alaska, where she will be taking a treasure vase possibly next year. We also have one dedicated to the Altai Mountains in Russia, and that's a very incredible location as well. So it's a little hard to, anyway, if you come to the full moon meditation, you will hear the recitation of all the locations. So I hope to see some of you there. Yes, and you can join by Zoom.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. So we're going to close questions for now. Again, I will always encourage people, definitely read Summoned by the Earth. The book will work you. Yes, there it is. Beautiful cover.
Yeah.
It's such a good read. It's so beautiful. We'd like to spend the last time of our time together. Cynthia's going to lead us in a guided meditation to close us out for today.
Thank you so much, Carla. It's wonderful to be with you and with all of you. So yeah, I'd love to share this meditation with you now. So let's see here. This is kind of an adaptation of what we do on the full moon, and so let's start with the sound of the bell. Speaking of the bell, and allow the bell to bring us together. Perfection of wisdom, mother of Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and all beings, nourishing, holding, and healing all, great Mother Earth, precious jewel of the cosmos, to you we bow in gratitude. We take refuge in the earth as our teacher, the one who shows us the way in this life. We take refuge in the earth as an expression of the Dharma, the teachings of interbeing, understanding, and love. We take refuge in the earth as an embodiment of the Sangha, the vast interdependent community of life in balance and harmony. Living within the web of life on earth, we dedicate ourselves to embodying awakened awareness on the path of healing in service to all beings. We dedicate our lives to realizing our oneness with Gaia. So breathing in and breathing out, deep and slow. Just feel your body relax, letting thoughts of the past and concerns about the future melt away. Breathing in and breathing out. Feel the life force energy of Mother Earth entering you with each breath. And sense, as you deepen into your breathing, the ground beneath you, holding you, offering stability and calm, and drawing up through your taproot to receive the nourishing energies which Gaia gives so generously, and entering into communion with the stabilizing and nourishing energies of Mother Earth. And from this place of being deeply rooted and grounded, let's open to the light from above, from the sun and the moon and the stars, and expand our awareness into the vast energies of the entire cosmos. Rooted below, connected above, in this present moment, breathing. And like Carla invited us to do in the beginning, having arrived, let's invite all of our sources of inspiration and refuge, our ancestors, elders, teachers and guides, lineage masters, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and all the wisdom beings that we feel connected to. And invite them to be present with us right now. Breathing in their blessings, receiving the blessings of love, support, guidance, healing, and clarity. As this blessing enters you, feel this love and this caring coming all the way into your deepest heart of hearts. And breathe it in. Receive this blessing. And breathing out, send this love and blessing out to all beings. And breathing in, receive the love that is being sent. And breathing out, sending it out. Like the ebb and flow of the tides, of the winds. And then gradually expand your focus beyond yourself to include all of your friends and family, community, going out from your home, your neighborhood, your bioregion, country, and continent, to include all beings in all places everywhere, embracing the whole planet with your love. Breathing in and breathing out with Gaia. And then I invite you to turn your awareness to those who are suffering, to the places where there is war, poverty, disease, pollution, droughts or floods or fires, wherever the need for healing is very great. And breathe in this suffering. And on the out breath, send your love and caring to relieve the suffering of the earth, of her people, and of all life, all around the whole planet. Imagine that where there is hunger, great nourishing gardens begin to grow. Where there is thirst, fresh, clean waterways spring up. Where there are unhoused, safe shelters are built. Where there is war and conflict, choirs of peace echo in the hills. Where there is sickness, vital health is celebrated. And aware of where the earth is unstable, in danger, or out of balance in any way, imagine a restoration of balanced power, bringing protection and regeneration. And hear the land sing out in harmony. See the generosity and reciprocity in communities of life flowing freely. The beauty and riches of nature flowering into abundance for the sustenance of life, revitalizing this radiant blue-green planet that we call home. And then let's call into awareness now the presence of the Earth Treasure Vases that have been planted or are in the process of being planted all around the world. And let's imagine that together we're pouring our love and caring in the form of light into each and every little clay pot buried in the body of Mother Earth, filling each vase with our deepest prayers for healing. Imagine that each Earth Treasure Vase is radiating light in every direction, sending healing and protective energies wherever it is needed, in whatever form it is needed. And see the light like a rainbow streaming from each of the vases in the white, yellow, red, blue, green, and all the colors in between. And breathing in and breathing out, allow that feeling of caring and compassion in your heart of hearts to grow. And send that love out, that feeling of love and caring out in the form of light to all of the people, animals, plants, and places that are connected to the Earth Treasure Vases that need healing and protection in the past, in the present, and in the future. And imagine this healing light flowing out from the vases, embracing the whole planet with the powerful energies of love and caring. And see this healing force as a brilliant light traveling through the meridians, ley lines, and song lines of the earth, flowing into each location on the global mandala, the global healing mandala coming alive like a web of light, embracing the whole planet, like Indra's net. See and feel the light flowing back and forth like waves from your heart to the treasure vases, energizing them and adding vitality and brilliance to the light that is then flowing out to the whole area in the sphere of influence of each of the Earth Treasure Vases. And imagine this light then flowing into your own location, your own special spot in nature. And feel the collective spiritual intelligence of the entire global Earth Treasure Vase mandala, activating your node on the global healing mandala and entering you as a holy vessel. And finally, please focus your concentration on bringing healing and protection to the whole earth for all time. See our intentions for healing and protection radiating out around the planet in waves of light, flowing back and forth endlessly. And imagine that the healing is accomplished and the vitality of the earth is completely restored. And with another deep, slow in-breath and deep, slow out-breath, may we recognize the great interconnected web that is life on earth, of which we are each a part, and dedicate the merit of this practice and this time together. By this merit, may we swiftly realize our inseparability from Gaia, and may all beings without exception realize their inseparability too. Like the wealth of a wish-granting jewel and the excellent vase, may the purpose of all of our wishes be unobstructedly accomplished. Mother Gaia, in all your countless forms, may we possess the good fortune of never separating from your loving kindness. And for as long as Earth remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may these vases too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And by the merit gained through this practice, may we swiftly realize the state of the sublime Mother Gaia. And may all beings without exception, numerous as the stars, also realize this very state. Alalaho.
Alalaho, mahasukaho. So, I guess now we invite Dreamy.
Thank you so much, Carla, and everyone for coming and listening and receiving. And yeah, it's just been a joy to be able to share with you today.
Absolutely. Thank you. This has been great, fun, and so great to reconnect.
Likewise. To be continued.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes.
so much gratitude to both of you for leading this beautiful, sacred gathering today. Thank you. A heartfelt thank you to you, Cynthia, for sharing your wisdom with us through this incredible book. Your words remind us of the sacred bonds we share with our ancestors, with nature, with forests, rivers, oceans, hillocks, mountains, air and light of the earth. And may these bonds always protect, enrich, and guide you and all of us in the most profound ways. And let's remain ever mindful and tender towards Gaia, nurturing and cherishing the precious gifts she bestows upon us. Thank you. And Lopön Karla, we are so grateful for your always all-embracing presence and your skillful guidance throughout today's session. Thank you. To all of you connecting here today, thank you for your openness and your dedication to learning, both for the benefit of others and yourselves. And may you carry these reflections from today's gathering in your mind, heart, and body, and may they bring you further insights and blessings. Remember to explore the opportunities awaiting you on the GaiaMandala.net website, where you can discover enriching experiences for your path. And before we part ways, I would like to remind you of the wonderful opportunities for learning available also through Tara Mandala. Allow me to highlight two courses in particular that connect with the topic we discussed today. In a month, on April 25th, you have a chance to join an amazing online program with Dorje Lopön Chandra Easton, embodying the innate wisdom and compassion of the 21 Taras, contemporary study and practice, where you will be able to explore the symbolic meaning, power, and purpose of the 21 Taras through teachings, embodied meditation, mantra, and journeys with Tara. This program will conclude on December 12th. And I also want to encourage you to explore the 8-week course Eco-Dharma, Unseen Beings and the Path of Natural Recovery, with author and teacher Eric Jampa Anderson, who will guide you through the eightfold path of natural recovery as discussed in his book, Unseen Beings, How We Forgot the World is More Than Human, released last year, which Lama Tsultrim has described as a brilliant book that gives us a roadmap to true wholeness and recovery. Through lectures, discussion, and guided exercises, you will be able to explore what it really means to be human in a more than human world and how to meaningfully engage with ecological consciousness and ethics on the spiritual path. This course begins on June 5th. And finally, following the tradition going all the way back to the time of the Buddha 2600 years ago, you have the opportunity to make an offering of dana to Cynthia and Lopön Karla in gratitude for this precious time together. Dana is a Pali and Sanskrit word that means generosity. Dana directly recognizes the precious gift of the teacher and the teachings, without which one could not practice the Dharma. If you would like to offer dana, please follow the links you will see in the chat in a moment. It was so beautiful to be with all of you today. May we meet again and again on the path, and may all beings benefit everywhere.
Om tare tu re, Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu re. tu tare tu re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om tare tu